F1 Manager guide is going to be about F1 practice. And as you can see, I am exactly where I left you off, which for me was mere minutes ago, and the video will be uploaded with minutes in between, as I'm technically streaming this. But yes, we will go to race weekend instantly, because we have already looked at everything. If you somehow managed to find this video before the last one, go to my channel, check out the first one. The first one we were watching the menus, and now we are actually watching practice. I have someone watching this live.
Welcome to the archipelago of Formula One.
Didn't think I'd get someone watching this live.
But it's showing its big spirit right now in the grandstands. Either way, it's time for another fantastic
don't worry, this is just a guide.
I
am not making this an actual save. But yes, why is practice important? First of all, I gotta say, obviously not everyone is doing practice. This is why this gets its own segment. So if you are not interested at all in doing practice, you can skip this. But that being said, practice is important, and I'm gonna show you why. So you can look at the sponsors, you can see our targets and the incentives, and you can see the reports. The data reports aren't available because, of course, we haven't done anything. But if we continue on, you get into the practice one preparation, and here you have a lot of compounds. You have 8 softs. You have, first of all, how many tires do we have? 21 set of tires. But we have 8 softs, we have 3 mediums, we have 2 hards. That are the dry compounds. We also have 5 intermediates and 3 wet tires. And these tires have to get you through the entire weekend. So these are not just practice tires, race tires, qualifying tires. These are your tires for the entire session. Not everyone know this, so it's important to realize that pretty quickly. If you have played F1 Motorsport Manager, you will know this, because it's the same thing, just a bit less tires. But yes, and of course in practice, the 2 most worn tires will be given back to FIA. So in practice, always use 2 sets of tires for that session. This is why practice is important, because if you don't use 2 tires, a random set, likely a soft, will get given back. And also, I've noticed the AI uses a lot more tires. But when you do it, you can use 6 tires for the 3 sessions, which will mean you have the most amount of fresh tires for qualifying and the race. And you can basically choose what tires you want to save. So say if you want 3 sets of mediums, you can just go, yep, I'm gonna use hards for FP1, and then I'm gonna use softs for FP1, and then soft, and you'll have a couple of softs to run qualifying on. You will also get another set of softs for qualifying if you get into Q3. That has to be said. But only if you get through to Q3. But you choose a tire, you choose your car parts. You can change the suspension for the car you have chosen. You can choose engine, ERS and gearbox, and you can do this for both cars, of course. So we go down, we install the suspension on this, and if you don't remember, press R3. You get a ranking system instead of all these. As you can see, it's not a big difference, but there is a difference, so we will go with suspension pack 2. Now, if you remember back to last video, I said you can use your reserve driver. You can use him in FP1, and if you use your reserve driver, they will gain experience points, so you can upgrade them. So always think about that it might be worth using your reserve driver every now and then. Now, I think I'm very sorry, excuse me. Now I think we've come to the hardest part of all: setups. What the hell is this? So, setups, just like in the F1 game, just like in real life, you can change the setup, and you can see that stuff affects certain stuff. But if you go down, you can see, for example, only the front wing and rear wing angle affects the straight, because those, as you can see, it gets grayed out. That means that anti-roll distribution won't affect it at all, and neither will tire or toe. So that is important to look at. What affects what, and also which one affects which one the most. So, for example, front wing affects oversteer the most. So if you want to change the oversteer, you will most likely change the front wing. Rear wing, if we go back, of course, the rear wing affects straight the most. Again, pretty self-explanatory. If you want to move the straights, you move the rear wing, and you can see. You can do this for everything. Anti-roll distribution, and you just check. Okay, it affects traction the most. So if you want to move traction, you change that. That one. Tire camber, it affects. It's hard to say, but I would say either braking or cornering the most. And as you can see, toe mostly on braking, but also cornering a little bit. So you find what you want to change, and you just have to remember which one changes which. This video is going to be a little bit more back and forth between things. It won't have set times, because it's a lot more fluent. But yes, basically what you want to do then is keep the setup within those blue areas. And then you might say, but those are massive. Yes, they are. at least for the first run. When you have done a few runs, those will come down as the drivers learn that, okay, I'm not gonna like this, so it narrows to a smaller and smaller window. So you might even think, you know what, it's not even worth it, I'm just gonna send it out like this, get a smaller window and then change it. And that's fine, that works. But if you have an idea, for example for Monaco, you might want to up the front wings and front wing and rear wing because you know that's gonna be good, then you can do that already and you'll have less changes to do. Because of course the drivers will have to run a few laps to know what they think about the setups. And that will take time. So we are gonna set Piastri to something like this. So that is now his setup. You just press back. You can change the run plan. So I'm gonna put Piastri on 20 laps, but you can call him in before. I usually call them in when they have set up updates for me. Driving options, you can change the pace if you want more data on how tires wear on the different pace modes and how much fuel you're using and ERS, everything like that. But to keep it simple, we'll just go standard pace, balanced lift, ERS on neutral. Lando, and as you can see, Lando's setup looks a bit different. That is because the drivers have their own. Drivers are individual. They will have individual thoughts, individual wants, needs. So you'll have to make different setups for different drivers. Which is, of course, again, realistic. But when you're happy, we've now done setups for both drivers, we have put them on their compound, go to practice, and we're managing FP1.
And Lando, radio check, radio check.
Yeah, confirm.
Track should be green.
We send Mr. Piastri out, number 21. And we send Norris out. Now you can basically do 16 times speed, because if we pause it for a second, as you can see, it says practice calls, and then a orange 0%, a green 1%, and then a 0 out of 5. This orange 0% means track acclimatization. If you played the F1 games, you have a little bit of an understanding of what it is. But if you haven't, or want an explanation of what it is, basically what it is how used the drivers are to the track, how well they know the track. And the higher the percentage, more they know the track, faster they can go. Pretty self-explanatory, once you know it, of course. The green 1% in the bottom corners is car part knowledge. And of course it's the first time they're running these cars ever, so these percentages are very, very low. When you have done a couple of races, it will go up to 100, but then as you bring upgrades, it will go down again. So upgrades are both good, but also bad, because they have to get used to it. And the 0 out of 5 this one is the most crucial one, because this is the setup. 0 out of 5 means if I call them in now, they don't have a clue about the setup because they haven't tried it. They have basically just gotten out of the car. And gotten out on the track with the car. So they have no idea how the setup feels. But if we leave them running, these numbers will slowly go up. And once they hit 5 out of 5, if you remember back to the setup, there's 5 different things to change. So now they will have info on 1 out of those 5 things. And this will tick up slowly. So we are speeding through. And basically, once it hits 5 out of 5, you'll get a small message from your driver. Hopefully we can get to that. So you can see 3 out of 5 for both drivers, which is good.
Run wide.
This can go faster or slower for certain drivers, depending on their stats. So you can see we're on 4 out of 5, and the track acclimatization and corporate knowledge goes up as well.
Do you just want to give a very quick bit of feedback, and then we'll jump in?
Is everything okay with the car? It doesn't feel right.
Okay, understood.
So, as you can see, they didn't like the cars. So, we call them in. And go back to those menus because I like them. Now they come into the garage. We'll take a look. What is it they don't like? Is there anything they do like? So we reconfigure. You can see, okay, so oversteer was bad. So we've probably gone the wrong way with oversteer. And the same for braking stability and cornering. So what do? We find what affects these things most. So braking stability, for example, was these two. So we can just go there you go. Now that has also affected other things. So it will always be a bit of a trying to keep stuff in their things. So the tip I would give is focus at one thing at a time, because you can see that little blue-green with 2 dots over it. That is the best one you've hit so far. So you can always aim for that to get back to that one later. But yes, when you're happy with your setup, you just back. You go into run plan. You can check what tires you want them to go out on. I want them to go on mediums, for example. And we go over to Lando Norris. And again, he's not happy with anything, so we'll change everything then. And this, it might seem much, but I promise you, once you've done this 3, 4, 5 times, you're gonna see a pattern. Oh, the traction was bad, so I'm gonna have to change it for this, and I'm gonna have to do this to affect those in that way. Basically find those shortcuts to make it simple for you. So again, just change tires, confirm, and then you can speed it up again. This makes practice go very, very quick. Like, we've already done half of practice 1, basically. So it's basically
I think someone's run wide.
a free, as you can't go into a time trial and just set up cars and save the setups like you can in F1, the F1 games. You actually have to use the practice here. But of course, you can see Norris, Piastri, P15 and 16. It shows that, okay, if you remember back, we are this 17th best car, which roughly translates to 8th, which we have both Astons and both Williams behind us. That is pretty much correct then. Well, you can see Norris just hopped up to P14, but of course it's practice, you can't take too much into account because we are running mediums. Mick Schumacher has been running hards, so yeah. And whilst we're here, you can also check a lot of different menus, data. You can see lap history, you can see the tire history, so you can see how many laps you've done on the tires, so you can calculate, oh, they are 68% worn, how many laps has it done, and then if you go down to Tsunoda, he has done 10 laps on them, so 10 laps, 68%, okay, that means this and that. You can actually calculate your strategies all from practice if you want that as well. But now we're again waiting.
How's the balance? How's the balance?
It's pretty even.
Okay, understood.
So, as you can see, Norris is now feeling good about this setup. So we'll call him in again.
I think we've had a car run wide.
We'll call Norris in and we'll take a look at what he likes and doesn't like. So, we've gotten the oversteer to an optimal state. Now we know we basically don't want to touch oversteer. But of course, that might be tricky. But now you at least have somewhere to aim for every time. So he didn't like the cornering. Can fix it by doing that. You can do this and you pull back that one a bit, and now it's affected again. Basically, it's about finding what affects what and how much, so you know what to fool with. Also, we have a driver setup confidence of 69%. Nice. But yeah, basically this is a bit fiddly, and I do understand why people don't like setups. But this is what, and of course, but of course, the better the setup, the faster the driver will be. So they are important. And of course, you select what tires get worn and sent back. So it's a strategic point as well. But yes, try and find which one affects which one. I did go through it earlier in the video, so go back to that, look which one affects which. Okay, that one affects that one, and I need to change that one, so I'm gonna do that. Okay, good. And basically then when you find a level that you're good with, I usually am happy as soon as I get an optimal and maybe the rest at great, then I leave it be. Therefore you can make the small changes, get a new feel for the update. You can see Piastri is actually really liking his setup. It's a setup confidence of great. So he gets into the pits and we reconfigure him, and optimal, yeah, great, optimal, great, good. And now, okay, we want to change the straights. How do we do that? Rear wing angle. Okay, that changes everything else. How do we do now? Then you try and fiddle your way back. Which might be tricky. But hey, it's a part of F1. It is a bit fiddly. Now you're thinking, oh, but it's only 10 minutes remaining. I'm not gonna be able to get all knowledge. Doesn't matter. Send them out. Get 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5. Because that can still help you see a bit of the changes you made. And if you see, oh, we have 3 optimals, so we have 3 grades. Okay, maybe send him out on the same setup. Let him do the final few laps to let him find out about the rest of the setup. We're gonna do the same for Piastri, just send them out and they can find out as much as possible in the last 8 minutes. So we'll simulate through. So as we can see, they're going towards 1 out of 5, which isn't good. Norris gets a 2 out of 5.
The session has now finished.
They actually both got 2 out of 5 in the end. Which is good, because it gives you a little bit of an inkling. And also, you'll have to do less work in EP.2 now. So we continue through to here, and we go to the car setup. We know the optimal didn't move. We know the traction went to good instead of great. So we know that that went the wrong way. We just change it over. Very, very simple. And as you can see, the tire compounds we used, the mediums and the hards, they were returned. And that's why practice is important. Yeah. So that is basically practice. Just try and find the setup, and yeah. I usually send them out on a longer stint, just so we know you can get the setup. So I'm gonna live on 1 medium set, because I think the strategy only requires 1 medium set. If you remember the pre-race thing, you can do medium hards, you can do soft, medium, soft, you can do we take a quick look, and we see it hasn't really changed yet, but the straights aren't that good, so we can take that and then we move that. and we go again. FP2. We've done
Radio check.
only hour worth of practice in
Radio
20
check.
minutes, not even that.
Sessions should be starting now.
And again, it's a 16 time simulation. You don't have to sit through all this. You don't have to watch every single minute. In the race, it might be a bit different for you, but this is the most important. We just wait for it to go to 5 out of 5. Of course, we changed the setup, so they lost their 2 out of 5 that they had, and it went back to 0 out of 5. And that is because I moved it. But if you had kept, or if I had kept the setups, they would have kept their 2 out of 5, and you would have needed to done less laps to get the full setup. But yeah, I saw things that I needed to change, and I changed it before. So we're at 4 out of 5, and we're just waiting for Stroll and Piastri, Norris and Piastri to be done.
How's the balance?
I'm happy.
Okay, understood.
So Norris is happy, and same for Piastri as well. Piastri will have to do another lap because I was a little bit slow. But Norris into the pits, and we will reconfigure him. And we can see we're on good now. And if you remember, these two are the only ones on good, so we will change them. And of course we'll have to use a set of softs, and we'll have to lower the running plan a little bit, because well, the soft can't go that far.
They've gone wide!
And Piastri is very happy. This, honestly, I would be happy with this. I would leave it as it is. But of course, you can fiddle with it. You can try and get 100% driver setup confidence if you want. But I would be happy with this. So what I would do then, put a set of softs on, put his run plan on 22 laps, and just give him track acclimatization and track knowledge, or car part knowledge, sorry. And as you can see, it went a lot quicker because they don't actually need to change anything about the actual car. They just needed to refuel the car and change tires. And as you can see, his practice goals, it's at 5 out of 5 because we know the setup is good. And FP2 is soon enough done, and we've done basically 30 minutes of video. So it's not gonna be an hour. So yeah, that is how, first of all, how quick practice is, if you know what you're doing. Of course, if you're sitting there staring at the setup screen going, I have no clue what to do, then of course it's going to take a bit longer. And also, that's okay. You know, we're at different points in F1 Manager. Some people know exactly what they're doing, and some people are sitting there wondering what the heck a front wing angle does. I'm not here to judge, I'm just here to help you get to the next stage. But yes, the next one will be...
How's the balance? How's balance?
It's okay, it's a cool car to drive.
Okay, understood.
The next one will be race setup. And as we can see, everything is great. And we know the oversteer went a little bit, so we can try and move that a little bit. But that's of course completely up to you. I will speed through practice now. Oh yeah. We will go back to the medium set. Send him out. And of course FP3 then will feel a bit
Who's running wide there?
redundant, but again, it's for strategy purposes, to make sure you don't have too many worn tires. We'll call him in then, and we'll sit out the rest. It's just a minute left anyways. But that is how quickly practice can be. And of course for FP3 it's gonna be even quicker, because now we don't have to fiddle with setup. So now I'm quickly gonna speed through FP3.
Thank you for joining us.
And then I'll get back to you in the video number 3 for race what to do before a race and qualifying.
Radio check please, Lando.
Yeah, I'm ready to check, okay.
Yeah, 16
Okay,
times
so that's
speed
a
and
green
this
light.
will be over in no time. The good thing here would be an editor, but of course you might want to see what I'm doing, so it's a quick yeah, that has basically been practice. Oh,
That
and
sounds like someone's gone wide there.
VSC during practice. That's a bit interesting. Yeah, practice very quick. Once you get the hang of it, and of course, it will go even faster when you know or have an idea of where the setups should go. Which will mean that practice will be even quicker. so we have to use another set of softs because we don't have anything else that is dry compound. Yeah, we just simulate through the last 25 minutes and then I'm gonna wrap this one up and I'll get back to video 3, which will contain qualifying and a race setup. Because the race setup is the difficult part. The racing part is pretty straightforward. As you can see, 15 minutes to go. The track acclimatization for Piastri is at 100. For Norris it's at 90. He's just getting car part knowledge now.
We've just
this
had a
is of
car
course good
run
because
wide.
the more he knows the car, the more he knows how to push it. And of course those things will change with if your cars crash, because you'll have to maybe go back, and when you
Someone's run wide.
get upgrades it will go down because they're not used to that new parts, they're not used to the car being good from McLaren. You can see, with only a minute remaining, they're a bit complaining about their tires, which
Okay, Lando, that is the end of the session.
should be expected. They go basically.
Struggling a little bit more with the rear.
There we go. So that has
Okay,
been practice,
understood.
and
Can we
we
change
did
tires?
3 hours worth in about 40 minutes with a bunch of talking. So I'd say I'm pretty happy with that. And setup confidence over 90 for both drivers. And if I can do it that quickly, you can do it too. But that has been practice. Hopefully you guys see the reason why practice is good now, and why you should do practice. I'll actually quickly go here, and as you can see, compounds are now returned, which means we have these 4 set of softs for qualifying. If we were to get into Q3, we will get another set, and as you can see, 1 set is locked for the race, which is of course good. But this is also what they mean by scrub sets, because you will be able to use these qualifying sets in the race. But more on that in the next video. Yeah, that has been practice. Like I said, hope you guys learned something. And until the next video, yeah, enjoy.